So I hope this is starting to make a little bit of sense now. Let's just change those elements back to the grow values that they are actually having on as numbers. Let's just get this element back to its original size. And now the key point that I want you to take away here is the second definition of the flex basis, that now we understand what this name basis actually means. It is setting the basis for how to distribute space that is available, or in other words, how to grow and how to shrink. So let's check if this definition also makes sense for the shrink property. Let's go to this last row that we have here. Again, we have our familiar elements. This time, as the numbers are indicating, we have the same grow for each element, and the yellow element has a different shrink property of 1. And now we can see the same phenomenon here, kind of, that those 3 elements have different shrink values set, but they are having the same size. So obviously it seems like the shrinking did not kick in yet. And to see this, to actually see this happening, the easiest way to achieve this would be to change the flex basis, let's say to 500. Now, why am I doing this? I am doing this to kind of force them to compete for space. And once they have to compete for the space, that's when they have to use the shrink property. And now we can see we didn't change anything about those elements, and they still have the same size as they had before. We just changed the basis that they would like to have. And now we can see kind of the opposite of the grow property happens, which is that the element with the highest shrink property shrinks the fastest. So all of those elements, they want to be 500 pixels wide, but they have a shrink property set. Not all of them can be 500 pixels wide. That means the element with the highest shrink property will shrink proportionally faster. And that is the yellow element here. Obviously, when I give the green element also, let's give it a value of 5, so it should now be the one that is shrinking the fastest. And now we can see it gets even smaller than the yellow element, and they shrink according to proportions 1, 3, and 5.